I think, Elias, if you're in the room, just let me know, like unmute, just to make sure you're here. Okay, awesome.
Can you hear me? Yes. Good.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. So I'll introduce you a little bit, and then you can have some time to talk, and then we'll have a Q&A session. I think the audience is very curious about the current work you're supporting, and then also current updates in Bethlehem and the West Bank in general, given all the developments that are taking place. So I think this conversation would be very fruitful for us. But Elias is the Executive Director of Holy Land Trust. He has been working for over a decade at Holy Land Trust, and he was formerly the Travel and Encounter Program Director and serves also on Bethlehem City Council, I believe. So yeah, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you for having me here in the gathering. And greetings from Bethlehem. And yeah, just share a little bit about Holy Land Trust and the work we do, and then I'll give you an update about what's happening here in Bethlehem. Since October 7th, and recently actually. Holy Land Trust is a Palestinian organization that's been serving in the community here for the last 26 years, where it was founded by Sami Awad. I don't know if you're familiar with his name. Sami Awad is one of the leaders here, visionary. He founded the organization in 1998 to respond to the needs of achieving real peace between Israel and Palestine. And it was founded in the time when everyone was talking about peace, two-state solution, Palestinian and Israeli living next to each other. But unfortunately, when the peace agreement was signed, the very next day, we found that there's a new challenges, new facts on the ground that is enabling the peace to continue. For example, the settlement building, restrictions of movement, separation between Israelis and Palestinian, permit issue, like many facts were founded on the ground just the day next to the day after the peace agreement was signed. And this actually brought us as a Palestinian to think what is really missing to achieve real peace between Israel and Palestine. How can we respond to the needs? Because the peace agreement never responded to the needs of the local communities in the Holy Land. So we started as an organization highlighting the trauma in the Palestinian-Israeli community and the historical collective trauma that nobody talks about it. That what happened in 1948 was a real shift between the Arabs and the Jews and the relationship, like this relationship between Arabs and Jews from friendship became an enemy relationship, because both sides are traumatized from what happened to them in the past. The Jewish people are traumatized, they carry a lot of fear, they want safety, security, and they see everyone as a threat to their existence. At the same time, the Palestinians are traumatized from 1948, and they see the Jewish people as a threat to their existence. And that's never been addressed and highlighted in any peace talk. Everyone was, talking about political agreements, borders, economy relationship, but they never fulfilled the needs and addressing the real healing and transformation of people on individual level. So that's actually what we do as an organization, that we highlight and we address this trauma and what is the need, that we need to respond to this by healing and transforming individual and communities for a better future, that we can share, that we can come with a vision for the future. What does the Holy Land mean for Muslim, Christian, and Jews? It's not a Holy Land only for the Jew, it's not only for the Muslim, and not only for the Christian. So we built our project based on promoting this vision, that everyone has the right to live here. away from any political agenda, that we are all the, the trustees of this land. So we have developed a project and programs called the Trauma Healing Program, where we work with the Palestinian community on a national level, where we address the Palestinian trauma and we transform this trauma into hope by responding to their needs. At the same time, we work on a collective joint Israeli-Palestinian trauma, where we try to bring Israeli and Palestinian to face and challenges and how can they overcome this trauma. And, we, in the same time, we as an organization, we promote the philosophy of nonviolence, that we believe nonviolence is the only way to come to a peaceful solution. So we do work in community empowerment through nonviolence, where we respond to the needs and the challenges of the local community through nonviolent activism, like many, Palestinians be living in every day in different challenges by the Israeli occupation in the West Bank, land confiscation, home demolition, restrictions of movement, and we try to transform these challenges into hope. For example, we do the home rebuilding project, where we rebuild homes demolished by the Israeli army in Area C for Palestinian, and trying to transform this pain, this anger into hope by showing solidarity. Because part of our belief that traumatic people, they need comfort, they need support, they need solidarity. And when a family lost their home, they feel, desperate, angry, frustrated. And when we bring volunteers, international volunteers, Israeli volunteers as well, to build the house for the Palestinian family, it gives them hope. They will never think about any negative reaction or bad behaviors. We have developed something called the art therapy. We believe in art. Art is a very powerful tool to release the anger, the stress. So we believe we developed an art therapy for kids, where we work with children to overcome their trauma and find a space where they can be creative for a positive change. In the same time, the third field of our work is advocacy. We believe it's important to engage the international community in our work. We need to advocate and raise awareness about what's happening here, because most of the international, they know Israel and Palestine through the media, violence, killing, hatred. And we do advocacy program through tourism, where we organize, mission and educational trips to come to Israel and Palestine to get firsthand stories. And that's actually where we believe that international, they need to be aware of what's happening. They need to be aware of the Israeli occupation policy in the West Bank. And that's the main obstacle of achieving real peace. That's why this is very briefly about Holy Land Trust in 3 areas that I can list all the projects, but maybe that comes through the Q&A. But recently, since October 7th, thing has been changed, a lot of challenges that we are facing as a Palestinian in the West Bank, not only in Gaza. The West Bank became more, that we already live in a big cage, an open air prison, with all the checkpoints that exist in the West Bank. But after October 7th, it become more even harder for Palestinians to move between cities and towns and villages. There's a new checkpoint, the new roadblocks that been implemented by the Israeli soldiers. And there's a daily settler harassment on Palestinian people driving from city to another in the West Bank, as well as home demolition being increased. There are many Palestinian homes being demolished after October 7th, even though that there is some Palestinian homes they got a demolition order, they freezed. The lawyers have succeeded to freeze home demolition orders for Palestinian family. But with the new right-wing governments, they gave an order to to activate all the old demolition order. So we've been facing and seeing a lot of home demolition in the West Bank since October 7th. Recently, and what's happening in the north of the West Bank as well, daily invasion, daily assassination of Palestinians and arrest of Palestinian people. Even those who are social media activists. Now we are people who are actually sharing on Facebook or in social media, they've been arrested. Recently, and since July, we are facing a big challenge in Bethlehem, because I don't know if you've been to Bethlehem, and in the west side of Bethlehem, there's an open green valley called Al-Makhrur Valley. It's the last expanding of Bethlehem. It's the last open air space for Palestinians to go, and we do hiking, meditation trips there. It was announced by the Israeli military civil administration, Israeli civil administration, that they're gonna build a new settlement. And building a new settlement was a response by the Israeli government as kind of punishment for all the countries that they recognized Israel, recognized Palestine as a state. For example, Spain recognized Palestine as a state recently. So in the other side, Israel decided to build a settlement. So for each country that recognizes Palestine as a state, they want to build a settlement. And they want to build a settlement in Bethlehem, which is already, Bethlehem is surrounded by 18 settlements, which look like, we are totally in a cage, surrounded by settlement. Now they are building a new settlement, but not only building a settlement in Bethlehem, they are building the settlement on a World Heritage Site. Al-Makhrur Valley was recognized by the UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in danger since 3 years. And now Israel is breaking the international law again and building a settlement in a World Heritage Site. And this is why now we started our international campaign to advocate and to lobby among international in the US Congress and senators' offices and the British Parliament members. We're trying to reach them to inform them that Israel is building in a World Heritage Site, and this World Heritage Site needs protection according to the UNESCO. We cannot have any development plan in this area, so we need to protect this valley. That's why we are reaching to our international partners and friends to put pressure on Israel to stop this plan to build a settlement. Israel moved few settler families, like Jewish settler families, to the valley. They are living there now. They are taking, Palestinian land, and we've been trying to stop these settlers by taking the land. And we have an Israeli activist are joining this campaign as well. So it's not only Palestinian, not only international, but also we have an Israeli activist are joining this campaign. Yeah, this is briefly what's happening here and recently in Bethlehem. That's the most, update in Bethlehem area with the new settlement, plus, all these restrictions of movement and blockage We have only one entry and exit from Bethlehem to the north of the West Bank. There's a checkpoint called the container checkpoint, and usually they close this checkpoint for a few hours per day, and it creates a lot of challenges for the Palestinians to move from north to south of the West Bank. I don't know if you want me to add more, or if we can open it for the Q&A.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, you can put it in the chat and I will relay it to you. But I wanted to hear a little bit more about whether, like, how often are the protests these days with, the Valley? What other things, like what other campaigns are you doing with them that maybe the audience can support?
Yeah, so we've been organizing a solidarity activity in the Valley with Israeli and Palestinian activists. We did this with our partners like Combatant for Peace, which is Israeli-Palestinian organization. We set up a tent over there, solidarity tent, where volunteers used to come every day to show solidarity and protest to stop the settlers from the land confiscation. Unfortunately, we've been stopped by the Israeli army for several times. A week ago, the tent was demolished by the Israeli army. They came and they just took the tent down. Now we are also trying to create activities on the valley for local Palestinians. Like last Friday, a few days ago, we did a hike tour for a group of around 40 Palestinian, young Palestinian men and women. We walked through the valley on the hiking trail. We cleaned up the valley from garbage, and we connected with the local families. We now try to do a need assessment for the families, like what they need to cultivate their land, to show their presence, because their presence is important in the valley. The farmers, they are facing a lot of challenges, and we need to respond to these challenges by giving them whatever they need, like access to the land and cultivate the land, do some activities and projects. And this is actually what we are planning to do for the next few months with our partner organization. This morning I had a meeting with the UNESCO office in Ramallah. The UNESCO, they are willing to provide all the tools for advocacy, using their convention, laws, policies to stop Israel from building a settlement over there. Yeah.
And has there been a positive response to international partners? You mentioned UNESCO, but maybe the wider UN body or any other organization that has been, expressing any support against this?
So now we started our campaign with our we have two partners, American partners and British. We have Amos Trust in the UK. I don't know if you're familiar with Amos Trust. They are based in London. They joined our campaign and they will start doing some outreach and lobby for parliament members in the UK. Sending letters also to the British consulate in Jerusalem, as well as in the US. We have Rebuilding Alliance. Rebuilding Alliance is an American organization where they do also lobbying and outreach for the US offices in Washington, in DC, senators and Congress members. That we will do the briefing session for them, trying to share like that Israel is breaking the international law on the UNESCO side. We are bringing two delegations from the US offices next October. Hopefully end of October, we will have a delegation to visit the West Bank, and we will take them to Al-Mahrour as well.
Thank you for the elaboration on that. And I know you mentioned that there's an increase of home demolitions just everywhere in the West Bank. And I know Holy Land Trust, some of the programs include like home rebuilding. So what has been the response from your organization with the increasing number of like house demolitions? Like are there any actions that you have been taking in campaigns in regards to that?
Yes, we work with our partners here, St. Eve, which is a human rights organization that they do provide lawyers for the families to follow up the cases in the court. Unfortunately, funding is a big problem here that we are trying to raise funds to build the homes. So far we did 12 homes since 2007, and we always say that luckily none of these homes been demolished because of the international solidarity, because of our follow up with the lawyers. But unfortunately, in last March, one of these homes been demolished in Al-Walaja, that we rebuilt in 2017. And this family, they have succeeded to freeze the home demolition 2 years ago, and we had to pay 28,000 shekel, which is around $9,000, as a fine for the Israeli military court. Sadly, after paying the fine and after the new government activated all the old demolition order, they came and they demolished the house last March. But with the insistence of the family and because they believe of what we do, they insisted to rebuild the house for the third time. And we did it very quickly with Amos Trust. We helped them raise funds to build the house. But as a small organization, we cannot do more than one house per year. That's actually the other challenge, that we cannot build more than one house due to the financial and the fundraising issue. Now we are trying also to help families on the legal, provide like legal aid for the families through St. Eve and other organizations.
Someone asked in the chat also if you could talk more about the Israeli activists who are helping with the Holy Land Trust and kind of their role, what you see the role of Israelis and international citizens in your work.
Yeah, I've been talking about this in the last maybe 10 years. I've been talking about the importance of the Israeli activists joining our work. Because for me personally, I believe the change must come from Israel. We as a Palestinian, we do our part. We try, to resist in all means that we have. But we need an Israeli solidarity groups to join the work we do. This is why we have developed a program called From Dialogue to Action. Since the peace agreement was signed in 1994, 1995, more than 30 years ago, many organizations, they've been doing peace work, bringing Israeli and Palestinian for the sake of meeting, for the sake of getting to know each other. They take them to 5-star hotels in Greece or Cyprus to meet. But for us as an organization, we believe action is more important than dialogue. We're done with dialogue. That's why we have developed a program From Dialogue to Action, where we recruit Israeli and Palestinian. We create a core group of activists where they come together to the West Bank. They see the challenges, they see the realities that we're living in, because it's more important for the Israeli activists to come and see what's happening in the West Bank than watching what's happening from his house in Tel Aviv. So we encourage as much Israeli as we can to come and meet Palestinians. and to see the reality, and to see what does the Israeli soldiers, what the Israeli soldiers are doing in the West Bank. So once we bring them here, like it's an eye-opening trip, and then we ask them like, what is your responsibility? That they need to take an action. It's not about bringing them just many, some Israeli, they come to meet Palestinian because they want to feel good about it, out of guilt. Some Israeli, they do it out of guilt, but we encourage Israeli to come because we want them to believe that there is something wrong is happening here. There is injustice. There's an Israeli occupation, and Israel is doing, bad things using your name as an Israeli Jew. So that's why in our program from Dialogue to Action, we have a core group of Israeli activists that they come and work with the Palestinian communities. They stay with they stay in the Palestinian community. They do protective presence, where these Israeli activists they walk with the Palestinian children in South Hebron Hills. They walk them to their school to protect them from the Israeli settlers and Israeli soldiers. So an Israeli activist is protecting the children, the Palestinian children, from the Israeli soldiers. So this is very meaningful and very important work for us, that we have an Israeli support with us. And what we see in the TV now, when all these demonstrations in Tel Aviv, and raising the voice of the Palestinian to end the genocide in Gaza, and to end the war in Gaza. Those are the voices that they are aware of the problem in the West Bank and the occupation. And they are all anti-occupation. And yeah, that's where I see their role, that we need more awareness among the Israeli people and the international as well. And what's happening among the international community now since October 7th, it's a big shift of conscious about what's happening in Palestine. We've been talking about it. As a Palestinian, I spent my last 17 years working at Hoyland Trust and bringing delegations from the US, from the UK, warning the international community about the problem here. We've been telling the international community, we've been ringing the bell for the international that there is a problem here, we need to stop it. And now after October 7th, I think international community, they understood what we've been talking about, that the problem is not October 7th. The problem is 75 years of occupation, 75 years of oppression and injustice that Palestinians are living in. Yeah.
Evelyn, did you have a question as well? Oh, I think you're muted.
Thanks so much for doing this. I'm Israeli and active with Combatants for Peace. I'm here in the United States, and Tan had mentioned that you're working with Combatants for Peace. Is that a formal partnership?
We didn't sign an MOU or any agreement with them, but they are very, unofficial relationship. They are very close to our vision. They are good friends. We always, when we have a program, especially from Dialogue to Action, they helped in recruiting Israeli participants in our project. Now what's happening in Al-Makhrour, automatically, Hoyland Trust and Combatant, we started doing the activities, supporting the families in Al-Makhrour. But yeah, it's not, an official partnership, but they are kind of, our supporter, and we support each other work because we are in the same vision,
Do you think it might be worthwhile to have a formal partnership and that could strengthen your organization?
Yeah, it's worth, talking about it. I know, because, we're talking with Palestinian director here in Beit Jala, and I think they have an Israeli director in Tel Aviv.
Right.
I never met the Israeli director yet. I know him by email, WhatsApp, but I think it's worth talking about it.
Okay, great. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No, thank you.
I have one question here that someone sent me about just the nature of the World Heritage Sites. I don't know if you know more details about it. Someone asked if it's a nature valley or does it also have like homes and buildings? Yeah, so if you could talk more about like what the valley has and things like this.
Yeah, so the valley is an agricultural landscape, and it's listed as a World Heritage Site because it's an agricultural landscape with a Roman archaeologists, like there's a Roman pool and Roman irrigation system that exists since the Roman time, as well as the terraces, the land terraces that built from the stone terraces, considered as a World Heritage Site for thousands of years. And this is why the UNESCO listed it as a World Heritage Site in danger, because it might be affected from the conflict and also from city development, that this is the only and the last green area in Bethlehem district.
Thank you so much. I think I don't see any other questions in the Q&A, but is there anything else you want to leave the audience? I did send the link to donate to Holy Land Trust, but if there's anything else that you think would be helpful for us to engage in, please elaborate.
Thank you. We work very closely with the Kapil organization here in Jerusalem, that they bring delegations to visit Holy Land Trust, and we took them to the Makhrur Valley. I think what is needed from the international community just to be aware of all what's happening here on the ground. I think I'm planning to come to the US for a speaking tour. So maybe, I don't know if you're in the US or in the UK, but if you're in the US, it would be great if you can invite me to speak at your community, churches, synagogues, universities. You can just send an email to me. And at the same time, yes, we are in need of any donation. The donations is because we are an organization based on donations, that all the fund comes from personal donations. As I said, we work with the local community. Since October 7th, we shifted our work towards the needs of the local families in Bethlehem district, because Bethlehem, it's also good to mention that Bethlehem depend on tourism. 70% of the income in Bethlehem comes from tourism. We have many hotels, we have, souvenir shops, restaurants, tour guides, bus companies. Since October 7th, we have zero income from tourism, and this is creating a very serious financial crisis in Bethlehem area. That's why we responded to this by providing a monthly support for families that they have no income, by providing food parcels or food coupon from local supermarkets. And this is again part of the trauma that we believe, like if when a family has no income, this will create, anger, stress, and this will affect the family relationship. And our intervention is providing a monthly support to have a sustainable income for the family. as well as we've been providing medical support when it's needed for families. Unfortunately, here the health system is not really the best. You know that we don't have a social security system as in the US or any other country. So if you don't have a job, you don't have a job. You don't have an income. There is no social security from the government to provide you any compensation or income or even medical support. So that's why the NGOs, the non-profit organizations, are responding to these needs to fill the gap in the community. And I always say that we function as, filling the gap of the government. Our government is not fulfilling our needs, and then our responsibility to fulfill these needs by responding and giving whatever the community need. We sometimes also provide like student loans, like scholarship for university and school tuitions to cover the tuition of the students. We have developed an art therapy project that we work with children using art as a space for healing and overcoming their trauma. We worked with 80 kids last month, and we found out there is a lot of creative and talented kids. So yeah, that's why and the only way to do it is through the support that we receive from our friends and donors in the US and the UK and Europe. And in the future, if you have any church or any delegation that they might be interested to come and visit, we're happy to organize these kind of tours, such as planning the program and providing all the logistical needs. We function as a tour operator in the organization. The Travel and Encounter program has a very expert team that they can provide you with all the logistical needs. So if you are a part of a church that are looking for not a classical tour to the Holy Land, but you want to come and follow the footsteps of Jesus, but also if Jesus is here, we always say what would Jesus do if he's here today? So we ask all the Christians to follow the footsteps of Jesus and to understand the challenges that that we are facing and how we respond as a Christian and as a human. What is our response to these injustices and these challenges? So yeah, that's what we are expecting from international community. Just to come and see, to come and encounter people, not to come and just visit the dead stones, the museums and churches. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it seems like you're doing so much good work across all different programs. If you're okay with, I can put your email in the chat so that, if there's anyone who wants to invite you to speak, that they can contact you.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I can write it down here.
And I think there might be two more questions before you leave. Two people raised their hand. So Jennifer, do you have a question that you want to ask?
Yes. Do you work with Reverend Munter Isaac and the seminary there in Bethlehem?
Yes, he's my good friend, and he was my teacher in Bethlehem Bible College. I studied there. And yes, he's a very good supporter of our work that we do. We are part of Christ at the Checkpoint conference that the Bethlehem Bible College organize every year to also share the Christian voice, the Palestinian Christian voices, and what is our response. I always talk about, what does it mean of loving your enemy. That's actually another session, maybe we can talk about it. But what does Jesus mean by loving your enemy? And loving your enemy is not just about, going to the checkpoint and give flour to the soldiers, or meet an Israeli and tell him, yeah, let's be friends. Loving your enemy is just, you need to go into a deep healing session with your enemy. You need to put yourself in the shoes of your enemy to understand the pain, the trauma, and how can you come together in a healing journey. This is why I took a trip to Auschwitz and Birkenau, to Poland. And this is also part of what we do as an organization. We send Palestinians every year to Auschwitz and Birkenau, to the concentration camps in Poland, to take a journey, a bearing witness journey, to understand the Jewish historical pain and trauma. And this, horrific event that took place, and how this event is still affecting the decision that we make today, and how it's related to the occupation and what Israel is doing. So yeah, we work with Munder, and we are at the same level.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elias. I think we're running short on time. We have a lot of actions this week that I wanted to cover. So if anyone else has questions for Elias, you can email him. He has his email in the chat, and he can continue this conversation. But thank you so much for coming and speaking with us about the developments and the work that you're doing. And we'll be praying for you to continue this work despite all the circumstances. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. There's a lot of comments here in the chat. I cannot read it all, but please feel free to send me an email. I'll be happy to answer to your email.
I think Judith, do you have an urgent question you wanted to ask? Okay, she might have one more question.
Okay.
I know it's possibly off the subject, but I just wonder if the Israelis that would they be willing to go for a government that would be equal with Palestinians? Not two separate ones, but a government that recognizes and makes everyone equal. Is everybody ready for that? I think Evelyn said she would be, but she's living in America. But I just wonder, you say that peace must come from the Israelis. And I think that's right. I mean, they are the ones that are doing wrong, and they have to change. But, to ensure peace, you have to have a decent government. You can't just, so I'm sorry, but I just wondered how any of the Israelis feel that, are they not willing to give up their Jewish state only?
Yeah, so actually most of the Israeli voices are calling for equal rights. From the river to the sea, everyone has an equal right.
Oh, good.
That's actually what is our slogan. Like it's everyone has to have an equal right in this land, the land that we called it holy. Like if you ask anybody, what does this land mean to you? They will answer, it's the Holy Land. It's God promised this land to Abraham and his children. And we are the children of Abraham, Jews, Muslim, and Christian. So this is the voice of the Israeli activists, that they go and demonstrate and they raise the flag of the Palestinian and the Israeli flag, calling to end the occupation, because we believe that the occupation, the military occupation, is the main obstacle. Once we end the military occupation and giving an equal rights for everyone, then we can achieve peace. As a Palestinian Christian, I will never live in peace if my basic right, my basic worship right is taken. I cannot go to Jerusalem to pray every Sunday. Muslims are not allowed to go to Jerusalem every Friday. But the Jews, they have 24 hours access to their religious sites. So when you are giving your basic rights to everyone, then peace will reveal. That's why we need an equal rights for everyone. I recommend you visiting our website. You can download our new book called Beyond the Two-State Solution. It's free. You can download it. Written by Jonathan Kuttab. Jonathan, he's the chairman of board of Holy Land Trust, and he's one of the founder. And he's also the director of Friends of Sapil. So I'm sure you read it, yeah. But so we are talking about this vision, that's where everyone get the right living in this land.
Right. Well, they all need to be part of the same government too, because that's where if you're not at the table, you'll be on the menu.
Yeah.
A fact. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And you're feel free to stay, but we'll do the action. So if you need to leave, then you can leave as well. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, no, thank you. And just, yeah, please feel free to email me and I'll be happy to respond. Okay, thank you. Have a good night. Maybe it's a good day for you, but it's a good night here. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a few actions this week that actually it's one of them is a program or a campaign that Holy Land Trust is currently supporting with the Kasia family in the valley. So I'll link this currently. So basically this is from the main campaign page. Currently I think they're on Instagram. I believe they might be on Facebook as well, but they're doing a call to action on September 29th, and they're asking people across the world to join a vigil or an event in support of the Kasia family. And so if there's no event in your area, you can organize one yourself, and they've asked people to direct message them on their social media channels. So you can go about organizing that in your churches and things like this. So that's one part of the campaign. The other part of the campaign is there is a donation link for the Kasia family, as they're currently doing funds to bring international delegations, activists to protest these settlements. So also link the GoFundMe page. We also have tomorrow, I think in Eastern time, it might be like 2 a.m. As in like the next 2 a.m. Time. There is a Zoom court hearing for the proposed apartheid road through Wadi Fukin. And this is September 11th at 9 a.m. Jerusalem time, so 2 a.m. Eastern. But we do have a Zoom link, and they have asked people to join if you can and change your name to Friends of Wadi Fukin on your screen name, and then just to show your international support and presence. So I'll also link the information for this as well. And so that's the link. And I believe this link is also on the Kumi Now action page. And then we also have, you guys might already be following the news, but the continued invasion of the West Bank, which has been the largest since 2002. And we have a few organizations that have set email templates where you can send to representatives regarding Israel's invasion of the West Bank. So I'll also just put the link to this so that you can use that template and then use that to contact your representatives. And then other than that, I think there's a few other campaigns that have been on the site for the last few weeks. I'll also just copy and paste those. So in the UK, we have a campaign opposing discrimination at St. Andrews. So there's a letter and a petition to get University of St. Andrews to reverse its discriminatory decision to dismiss Rector Stella Maris for her support of Palestine. So I'll put that here. And then there's also in Canada something that I think we already brought up in the last few weeks, but it's the Canada Revenue Agency to revoke charity status of B'nai Akiva schools. So I think these are all the actions. If there's other actions that you can think of as well in your own community, feel free to just put that in the chat. And then let me know if you finish any of the actions in the chat as well. So thank you so much. Geneva also linked in the chat another petition in regards to the death of Asener Ezgi Egi, who was the activist who was killed last week. So that's a good action for anyone based in the US. Another thing I wanted to mention as well is that Sabeel has been organizing delegations, and we're hopefully bringing more and more delegations in the coming months. So if you're interested in joining, I believe in our newsletter we have the upcoming delegation in October, and if everything is still in motion, then we'll be trying to bring that delegation in October, and they'll be just showing their international presence and solidarity. So if you're interested in doing that or other delegations in the future, feel free to contact me or anyone else at Sabeel to organize something like this. As Elias said, we really need international presence everywhere in Palestine right now, and even despite the situation, it's very important to have. So. And Mike, you just asked about the conference. The conference should still be going on. Like there's nothing canceling it right now, at least not to my knowledge. And we still should have the pre-conference tour. So I believe there's a link to register for this on Sabeel's website. Evelyn, I see your hand.
I just saw about the Instagram to sign up for the interfaith work regarding Al Mahrour, but I don't have an Instagram page. I don't use social
See if
media.
they have a Facebook or something like this, or if they have
I don't have Facebook. No, I don't use social media. So is there a way to sign up for the interfaith group?
Yeah, I can look and see if they have a contact information right
Okay,
now.
that would be great.
We'll update that maybe on our Kumi Now website, and then if I find it in time, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Oh yes, Lorraine is here in Zoom. I haven't met her personally, but I know she's currently working now at Sabeel. She's been helping with delegations. She just sent a chat that if you have questions regarding delegations, you can contact her directly. So her email is prayer@sabeel.org. It's 7, so I'll stay on here for a few more minutes, just so that everyone can access all the links in the Zoom. But if you have any more questions or anything like that, just feel free to reach out to us. And I'll look for I just messaged them on their account, Evelyn, so I'll make sure to try to get the email to you. If you have an email, I'll send that to you as well directly. For everyone, thank you so much for joining me in the Kumi action. I hope you're able to complete everything. If not, I'm just let me know. I'm happy to stay on a little bit longer. But it's been a while since we were able to do action together. So this is great to have this time again. Next week, I'll also, if you're going to be there next week, I'll send a survey out just so we can see ways Sabeel can make the action time more fruitful for everyone, whether that be like we can put some background music or something like this on. And I put in the chat that next week we'll be hearing from Palestinian NGO Portal, which is a coalition of Palestinian NGOs, and they produced a report recently on Gaza, so we'll hear from them. And then we'll end the month with a talk from a Palestinian artist who is actually based in Chicago. So that'll be about art and resistance. So that's all I have for today. And again, I'll be here if you need any questions, if you have any questions. And I look forward to seeing everyone next week again.